My mom always told me that education is the thing that will propel anybody forward, irrespective of who you are. And she showed it in action. So she would tutor kids that needed some extra attention after school, even though she knew she had a young kid that was waiting for her.
Every generation of leaders inherits a set of challenges and responsibility to do better for the next. My guest today understands that better than most. As Chief Information Officer for BMO Wealth Management Technology, she's helped shape the future of financial services while empowering the next generation of technologists and leaders. Her story is proof that great leadership isn't about outpacing others, it's about uplifting those who come next. Please welcome to the Iteration Lab, Bindhu A.T.
Thank you, Mike. Very pleased to be here.
So, Bindhu, tell me about your life story. I know that's a big open question, but let's start when you were a little girl.
Sure.
What were you like?
Super naughty. Yeah, jokes apart, I was a handful. I can say that. My mom says that quite often. So I was a handful. But yeah, I did start out in India. So most of my childhood was in India. And I was really a person that would get into anything with full heart. So I loved sports. I loved playing with my friends. I loved to make friends. But I was also pretty good at studies, but didn't really, used to sit and study for too long, but I was pretty good at it. Also helped my mother. My mother was a teacher. She was a single mom. So, tried to work through that a little bit. And as I helped her, I also learned that in a bit of an early age to support and help others around me. And was always a person that could put things together very quickly, right? So if I would disassemble things and kind of put them back together, I would like the fan wouldn't work. Like we had these ceiling fans, and the guy would come to bring it out, and I would sit there looking at what can be done. And if he stepped out, I would try to go do something with it. I'm sure I spoiled a bunch of things, but anyways, that was my thing. I was always a person that connected and tried to put things together. Felt almost like Legos, even though there weren't any Legos at that point, and I was dealing with real appliances. That continued into my passion for learning more about things, and in pivotal years of my life kind of helped me also open my mind to the art of the possibility, right? When I looked at things, I questioned it. So that's really my formative years as I remember it.
So you had just a natural inclination to inquisitiveness, trying to understand and then mix that with creativity. That sounds like the backbone of your upbringing.
Yes, and my mom encouraged it. There have been times I've gone and touched a live wire and, very bad, don't ever do it. Like, thankfully, I don't see any of those in North America hanging off. But back home, there would be like points where they leave live wires out for you to go put things. And out of curiosity, I climbed up a bunch of things and held it. And of course, I had a bit of a shock and fell off, but nothing bad happened because I immediately left it and fell off. But yeah, that's who I was.
Okay. I think I've done the same thing too.
Makes two of us here now.
That's awesome. So how has your history personally and as a technologist shaped you as a people leader and culture advocate?
So I think that brings up a great point of the next phase of my life as I come into it, right? So I'll explain a little bit of that. So came from a technology background, did my computer science engineering, and worked in the computer science field as I started out in my career. And very early on, I started realizing that I'm a very people person. I love to hear people and their problems and what's going on and help solve it. So I started transitioning from being a pure technologist and only coding to actually starting to solve problems. I became more of I was an architect, but I also started doing program management and helping people. And that got me into more and more leadership levels, right? So that connectivity into people, that fact that I was always trying to understand, that curiosity of what's going on, how can I make things work, and the fact that I wanted to connect things together actually helped me get on to, different roles as I started growing. And one of the things that I will also bring up is in this journey as I was going through, I had an opportunity at a point to move into a sales role. I was super hesitant. In fact, there were quite a few people who said, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I had moved to North America by then, but didn't really know too much about the North American market. So I didn't have friends that I grew up with or worked or studied with or worked with before. And for sales, you do need to know people. So people said, "Are you sure this is what you want to do? Like, is that the right path for you? You're good as a technologist. Do you want to continue there?" But I think that was a challenge that was presented to me. And I, as usual, went and grabbed the challenge. And I said, yes, I want to try it, because I said, what's the worst that could happen? I'm not going to really succeed at it, and I'll come back to my technology career, right? And that really propelled me. That really propelled me to the next level, because I was able to come in and actually grow a business in a way that I hadn't imagined, in a way that people around me hadn't imagined, right? That really propelled me. But what supported me in this propulsion is not just that you take something and start running with it, which is great, but I needed people to do the work with me if I had to grow the team. And that is the biggest thing. Because I was a people person and knew a lot of people and always connected with people, I knew how to create a team that's going to work together very well, successfully. So I started creating those teams and actually delivering on things that I was selling. So that is what made it truly work, because I knew how to create teams, I knew how to value them, and I knew what is the right kind of way to bring the team together and keep them together, because that doesn't happen by itself. That, to me, is really what I've learned along my career.
That does not happen naturally most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So for you to take on that challenge at first, kudos to you on that. But then second, understand the value of not just you, but the community and the team. Does that come naturally? Where, if you were to go back in your time, where did that come from?
I think that actually comes from my past as well. So when I came into this country, frankly speaking, I'll start from there a little bit. I did look different. I was a technologist, I was an architect. I was the only woman in a lot of settings around the room. And I did have, initial issues of not being necessarily heard or felt like I was not being heard. And there could be various other things attributing to it. And I did get support and mentorship from a lot of people to actually propel me to come forward and start speaking again, to bring my ideas out when I felt like I was not being heard. That was a key point for me to actually say, this is what I need to do when I build a team. This is the kind of team that I want to build, where everybody wants to be heard, right? And also, like, if you think back on what I was talking to you about my childhood and where I grew up, coming from a community where there were various people all over, and you had to accept the differences to kind of grow and work together, that actually told me that it's a necessary thing for you to succeed. And it actually makes it much, much better than working only with one set of people or one type of person, or be it any kind of background, right? Be it a social thing, an economic thing, be it any other difference. It told me that makes it much more productive. And that's something that I carry with me as I come into my work life every day.
I love it. So it accelerated your ability to understand what collaboration and communication and engagement is at a broader level.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That is cool. Thank you, Bindhu. They say, the saying is almost cliche, and yet more true than ever to the point, that we can almost take it for granted. The pace of technology change is exponential today. Looking back to when you started in tech, what key breakthroughs do you think catalyzed tech, leading us to today's innovations like cloud computing, AI, and the Internet of Things?
Great question, actually. So I'll actually age myself here by telling some of this. So that's a good one to get that. But anyways, I was during the time of slightly post-internet and Y2K actually having come in. So that is the era we are talking about. To me, there are three things that are pivotal that I saw as I came into my career. The first thing was mobile devices. So the BlackBerry was just getting released. So anybody that was a somebody started carrying a BlackBerry, and I was so envious because I wanted one. I didn't have one at that time, let me tell you that. But that revolutionized the way that we collected data, because that is when personal data started actually being collected by folks. That today is the basis on which all AI is built, if you come to think of it. So that's the first pivotal one. The second one to me is basically the way we started thinking about computer systems. Till then, everything was very much data center based, on-prem based. That is the first time when I started working that I started hearing about virtualization. So virtualization became a thing. And that is really what led to cloud computing today, right? So it's grown into cloud computing. And I would say the third thing is somewhat connected to data and to what we are talking about, which is the search engines. So Facebook actually just came to being. So again, a lot of data collection out of things like Facebook, but also search engines like Google and others became very, very famous. So today, that's the platform through which a lot of people actually get to AI, right? Where do you use your AI? You actually go on Google and actually start looking up. So I think all these have propelled us towards where we are today. So it's no surprise, but the pace of change is really surprising. Just to think that in the past 25, 30 years we've reached here is just amazing.
What is going to happen the next 10, 25 years?
Let's wait for it. I'm sure some great stuff.
Who would you name as the biggest personal heroes in your life so far?
To me, my personal hero is my mother. So, as I told you, my mom was a single mom with a young daughter in India, and it comes with its own challenges, and it was just her and me as I grew up. And she was a teacher and in a private school in India, and it was super intense for private schools in India, both for students and the teachers. So even in that, my mom did a few things that I remember to this day. And one of it is, she always told me that education is the thing that will propel anybody forward, irrespective of who you are. And she showed it in action. So she would tutor kids that needed some extra attention after school. Even though she knew she had a young kid that was waiting for her, she would say, this is what I'm doing for the kids. One day they're going to appreciate me for it, right? Apart from that, on holidays and on certain days that we had off, she actually went into this place called the Children's Village to go teach kids that were sponsored by a non-profit out of North America, actually, but they were mostly kids that did not have parents. So they were housed there, and she would go to teach them, right? This was like extracurricular stuff that they had to learn. So a lot of it was around English education, science, history, and stuff. And, at that age, I asked her, do you not want to stay home with me? Because she would leave me alone as a kid. In India, we didn't have rules of leaving kids below a certain age at home by themselves. And she said, no, you're doing okay. You do your work and you'll be fine. And we're going to get this back in a different way. I'm going to go teach those kids. So that remained with me, that no matter what she had, she always wanted to give back into the community, and she always wanted to do more of her part. And education was at the base of everything that she thought was important. And true enough, I see that in my life every day now. And that has shaped the way I approach things and the way I do things today.
I love it. And you got to see it at such an early age, that level of trust. And then you get to see firsthand at such a young age the value.
Exactly.
And that stuck with you.
Yeah, the value of giving back to your community, because the community needs to thrive for you to thrive, right? That brings us back to what you were just saying on, it's not about growing away from somebody, it's about growing together, right?
Yes. Yeah. Wonderful. I do love that story.
Thank you.
Let's go to another one. Okay. What about a tech hero or professional role model? How have they shaped your principles and philosophies in your own career?
I have many in that role, many mentors and folks that have helped me in various ways. But I think, to me, if I think of like a large one that everybody knows, I would say it's Steve Jobs. Still unique, And it's a little bit different from the path that I was just talking about. But what I take away from Jobs is the innovation. He was super innovative. When everybody expected him to fail, he didn't care. He went and did what he thought was right? So that innovative way of accepting change and moving ahead with it, like, is key, that I find is necessary in all our careers. Second thing is the passion. And he was absolutely passionate about anything that he was doing. He put his life into the work that he was doing. So I find that the passion, when you have that passion and bring it to work, you enjoy it even more, and you're definitely going to make it successful because you're passionate about it. So that's the second thing that I would say that I'm super impressed with Job about. And the last one is actually walking the talk. He actually held himself to the same level as he expected out of people that worked for him or worked with him. So that's something that I think is necessary in all our work and life, where we hold ourselves accountable and at the same level as others that we're working with. You become a living example for what you do or don't do, right? So that to me is things that I've taken away from Steve Jobs. But like I said, I have many, many other mentors and people who have taught me various things. Some of it has been to be true to yourself, to not push yourself too hard, to go to the brink of like completely forgetting, like, where you are from a society perspective, work versus life. So having balance. So there are many people that have taught me many, many useful things. And I remember it every time that I have to make decisions. I actually weigh out these things before I make my decisions.
That's great. So it's good to always observe and have an open line of communication, so you're able to listen to different thoughts and opinions and have great leaders that you can learn from.
Absolutely. I think that's the one thing that I've learned plenty, that you always listen to a lot of people, and we always make our calls together on what we are going to go. Our strategy is built together and where we want to go. And once you're aligned to that, there's no looking back that this wasn't my idea, it's somebody else's idea. We work towards making it successful.
I love it. One team.
One team.
You're active on several boards, community agencies, peer groups, and employee organizations. What inspires you to engage with these, and how do they inspire you in your leadership philosophy?
Yeah, absolutely. They're all a lot of work, but they are absolutely fulfilling, right? The first thing for me is, like we spoke about, it's about the community that you're living in. You want to give back, right? And there's no better time to give back. I feel you need to find ways of giving back, and there are various ways. You can contribute money, you can do a bunch of volunteer work. And part of the volunteer work, I think the way I can influence is also being part of these boards. So it's a way for me to give back. Apart from that, like, even if you take as a person, it enhances things that you might not be able to exercise every day in your day-to-day life, either at work or at home, right? There are some, if you're not doing very strategic work at your workplace because you're in an operational role, the board gives you the chance to be strategic, right? For a person like me that's very finance oriented and very oriented from a technology perspective, it allows me to see it from a very different angle on how to approach charitable foundations. How do you raise money for those foundations? Because they're not making money like the rest of the organizations. So it actually helps you bring forward a different part that you've never actually used before, right? So that is the second one. And the third one is, it absolutely makes you connect with more people. And to me, people and that connection is super important. So it opens up different avenues that I didn't know existed. So people come from so many walks of life that it opens your mind to just know their stories, and the learning is just tremendous, Mike, right? I truly appreciate it, and I feel that is one of the best ways to kind of have this holistic thing of learning plus being able to actually influence and make change by being on these boards.
I love it. You learn so much about yourself when you're embedded and in that new environment where you're forced to learn or engage inside some sort of engagement that's a little bit different than what you're doing today.
Exactly.
You learn about yourself, you learn about what's possible, and you
Yes.
build those connections.
Absolutely.
Those connections are critical.
They're critical. Those connections are what could take you to your next job. That the connections are what you could give somebody a job for. It's what you could use to do something better, to actually start or develop something new. We were talking about entrepreneurship just before this started. It could help other entrepreneurs, or it could help you become an entrepreneur. So everything comes with that connection.
So you're saying keep an open mind, think about the big picture, how we can all help each other.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it. Our most deeply felt points of view, values, and personal resilience often emerge out of experienced loss or disappointment.
Mm.
Are there any personal examples you'd like to share that have impacted your personal life, family, or professional life?
Yeah. Absolutely. And this, I don't think you know it either, Mike, with all our conversations. I don't think you know this. I actually wanted to be a doctor when I started out. So I, in fact, knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be an oncologist. So I knew that well, like what I wanted to do. And that's what I was pursuing till I came to my grade 12. That was a pivotal moment for me when I realized that I have a single mom and medical studies would go on for much, much longer. It would have taken me a decade. So, and there were various other contributing things due to which I said, I'm not going to do medicine. I'm going to actually do my computer science engineering, right? So that was a huge move. And frankly, my family was a little bit disappointed too that I wasn't going into medicine. They did expect me to still do my medicine. And I was a little bit disappointed too that I was taking this path, but I went into computer science engineering and loved it. Never looked back, never regretted. And like I said, when you love what you do and when you do it well, there's no looking back.
Amen to that. I love it.
Thank you.
You found yourself.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
That's great. I didn't know that. In a similar light, let's go to a few questions, if you don't mind, about ways in which you've been tested professionally. Mm-hmm. I know what we call the segment of heartbreaks. Mm-hmm. But in getting to know you so far, I already see that you're someone who tries to impart opportunity on a challenge. But here it goes. Can you walk me through a time when a big initiative didn't go as planned? And what did you take away from it?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. There's also another story. I love to tell stories. Anyways, a lot of people, if any of my colleagues, ex-colleagues that were part of this program will remember it, I actually moved into Canada to do a large wealth program and being on the product side. It was supposed to be this thing where we got all of wealth together. It was supposed to be a great program, and it actually did start out to be very, very good. But we were building it in conjunction with the bank, and one of the banks decided that they don't want to actually move ahead because it was too risky. Fair things. And that was heartbreaking because I moved my family here all the way, expecting this to kind of be the thing. And it didn't happen. So it was super disappointing. And it was a time to think, what do I do next? Because this is a large program for which I'm here. It isn't happening. Do I completely look at something different? Where do I go? That was the pivotal point at which, personally, I said, I'm going to continue and see where I'm going to go now from a slightly different angle, becoming a consultant, right? So that was my pivot into consulting. But what I learned out of it is every single person on that team that was there has gone places today. They're all doing superbly well. The lessons that we learned out of it, we take to this day on any large program on how to get complete engagement from all stakeholders. So technology by itself usually should not be making these large decisions. It has to be in conjunction with the business, and the business needs to be bought into it. So that's something I take every day into any large program, and I ensure that that happens when it's the time to get there. And second thing is, when you build a great team, you know that that team's going to really do well irrespective of how the program itself went, right? So like I told you, the team divided, a bunch of people went into the product side of it and built some really good products that are used across the industry today. So they are super successful. A few of us that went into consulting, consulted in the wealth space in different spaces, and we've done really well in those spaces. So it was a great learning for us to bring out of that program and take it forward. So even though there were some things that we learned about stakeholder management and other things, but there were great personal learnings that each of us took on how do you pivot when the chance comes. What do you do when you're faced with adversity and you have to make a decision? And I think I can tell you proudly that we all seem to have made decisions that took us into the right paths in our career.
I love it. Great learning curve on that front.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Some of the most impactful teams are the ones that can successfully fail. Together, learn from it and become more resilient. But the common denominator for successful failure and subsequently growth seems to be psychological safety and trust from both leaders and peers.
Great. I totally agree with it. I think to this day, it doesn't have to be the largest programs. Even when there are small things, if there's a culture of blame, we are not going to really go anywhere. That culture of blame creates a place where nobody wants to try anything because it's too scary to try because you're going to get blamed for it, right? But working on things together, knowing how can you, I don't like to use the fail fast word, but fail fast, right? Try things when you know it's not working. How do you quickly pivot from there? And how do you start moving in the direction that you all need to be is something that's absolutely essential. Knowing that you have the support to do that, both from your peers, your team, as well as people that you work for, like your bosses, is needed for any place that talks about innovation, where you want to innovate and do something fast or something well. That is the foundation on which teams need to be built on. Knowing that it's safe for them to try it. It's okay if there is a problem that we will figure out together on how do we move to a different spot, maybe even from where you are, right? How do you pivot from there? So that's something absolutely needed. And that's a culture that we build every day. And we try to encourage that within all our teams.
It's almost like facing your fear.
Yes.
And embrace it. Embrace the change or the inevitable or the challenge.
Absolutely. The Jays wouldn't have come up to Game 7 if not for that. Like, they were the underdogs, let's be frank. Nobody expected them to be there. And to me, this Game 7 wasn't really a failure. Like,
no.
They were so good. It was just that 11th inning, but that could have happened to anybody.
We should have won it.
We should have won it. It's recorded. We should have won it.
We've both agreed.
Yes.
Love it. Love it. I appreciate your openness today. Clearly, your family is at the core of who you are. I'd say that. What are your greatest hopes for your daughter, and what lessons you hope that she carries on?
Kids today are very smart, so I know that, they pretty much know most of it. But from my end, I think the few lessons for me are never, when a challenge presents itself, never get bogged down by the challenge. Always be bold and courageous to move forward, right? Pick a path and start moving forward, and you'll figure out what to do. So that's the first thing, because there's always going to be these challenges. Second thing is change. We were just talking about technology, the pace of change. That's not reducing in any form. And it's just not in technology. Change is all around us in all forms. So to be able to work with that change, you need to constantly learn. So constant learning, no matter where you are, is the second thing. You need to be a person that learns, right? And the third thing is there's no substitute to hard work. And Mike, I know you're very hardworking. There's absolutely no substitute to hard work. You do need to be able to put in your effort and give your heart in with that passion that we were talking about to make things successful. So I would say those are the three things I hope that my daughter learns and is able to take forward.
I hope my daughter takes those same things forward. Well said. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
In pop culture, there are a lot of stories where technology is the driver of a dystopian existence where human interaction is sidelined. Yet our reality is that technology enables easier and deeper connection as an amazing force to fuel our connection to each other. So here's a 3-part question. From your vantage point, how do you see or hope to see technology used to create more frequent and higher quality human interactions with customers?
Yeah, absolutely. For us, like I'll take a bit of the banking hat on at this point, right? With the banking hat on, I would say anything we do is technology focused today, and it's actually helping us take banking to places that would be very, very hard to bank before. Like if you thought about southern northern territories where they didn't have as many branches or had branches that were very, very far, it was very hard for people to bank. But today, with everything being available on your mobile devices, it's very easy to bank. So to me, it encourages that interaction, and it does not necessarily have to be just an online banking thing. You have chats that are available today. You have personalized calls that you can make today, which weren't possible before. So it's absolutely changing that interaction mode of no matter how far or how close you are, we can actually come and help you with your banking needs, right? That's one. Second is a lot of times people are not able to necessarily get themselves even physically into branches to come and talk. But there are ways today that you can actually get the banking to them using all the online and everything else available. So that becomes the second avenue of, it's not just a geography thing, it's also a thing of not being able to physically go in. So it goes above and beyond all of that. Same thing, irrespective of what your problem is. Today, banking's come to an extent where you can go ahead and actually use technology to solve it. But beyond that, I think the true use of things like AI, actually being able to have ethical use of AI, is going to propel us really ahead in what we can do as humans and how we interact with each other. It does not have to be that Mike's present at this exact time to talk to me about this. We could have a complete interaction, not having time, like not having the same meeting time, because we have that technology available to us today. We could have like an avatar of Mike talking to Bindhu about this interview. Probably we do that in like, I don't know, a decade maybe, or maybe it's even shorter, where our two avatars are talking to each other, right? So the avenue of doing it apart from like just for fun or just for sake of fantasy movies, like that's going to become reality, right, for us. So that interaction, I think, is going to get enhanced rather than being taken away. And I just came from Austin, Texas, where I saw the Waymos that were driving people around with nobody in the seat there. Still has its flaws. It couldn't navigate a big truck, construction truck, and the truck literally had to move. The construction workers had to move the truck out. But it's a way to kind of do things when you don't have the means of kind of doing it in a easier format face-to-face, right? So to me, technology is definitely going to be an accelerator to help us connect in different ways.
So the future is exciting.
The future is super exciting.
I could not agree more. You didn't get stuck in a Waymo down south, did you?
No, it wasn't me, but a colleague did video a Waymo that was stuck there. So
we're close. We're close.
Quite close.
Well, thank you for the amazing conversation today. And looking to the future, I know you may have hopes for your teams and the people that you manage. 5 years from now, when I'm interviewing the leaders that you've influenced and mentored, what advice or lessons do you hope they would reflect on and take to the next generation?
Yeah, I think a big one is going to be, in this time of artificial intelligence and everything, the human factor still matters. It's all about the human, right? So connect with people, connect with various people, build teams that are very inclusive, allow teams to experiment and do their thing the way they want to do it, and encourage people to actually support each other. Create an ecosystem where people can actually support each other. I think that is the biggest thing we can take as leaders. So if you're talking to leaders 5 years, that are going to be leaders in 5 years now, I hope they actually take that and are able to cultivate it even further.
I love it, and I've seen you in action, and that means a lot. There's a lot of different ways we can take shortcuts, but there are no shortcuts in trying to get ahead, not just for ourselves, but for the next generation. And we need to embrace the one-on-one human connection interaction. You can't replace it by an avatar yet, or by a Zoom. I think, and what I've seen based on your role and previous roles, you get out there and you put yourself in an uncomfortable situation and you meet interesting people. And I think you just walk the walk, and half of it may not know, you may not know why in the moment, but you realize it later. And that is the connections and understanding that you're building. And that is a really cool factor that I think is building upon who you are and what you can do.
Exactly. And that makes the journey so much more fruitful because there are no destinations. I truly believe that. I think it's the journey that's the most important. So you do need to have a journey that you can reflect upon and say, I loved every moment of it and I did the best along this journey.
I think you can say that.
Thank you, Mike.
So, Bindhu, we're doing something called Next Iteration, where we ask guests to leave a question for the next guest without knowing who it is. Before we get into the question that's been left for you is...
Okay. My question is, what is the one thing above all else that brings you joy?
I think, frankly, for me, above everything else, it's connecting with humans and feeling that true connection with a lot set of people is what brings me true joy. I'm an extrovert, as you can see, and just the fact of connecting with others and being in that moment is what it's all about for me.
I love it. We're cut from the same cloth. That's a good answer. Now, what question would you like to leave for the next guest?
Okay. I would say change and opportunity go hand in hand. So question is, how do you spot those opportunities when change comes? And what do you do with them?
That's good. We'll take it. There's one final question, Bindhu.
Yes.
Iterate or disrupt?
Disrupt.
How did I know you'd say that? This is awesome. Bindhu, thank you so much for coming here today. It was such a pleasure to get to know a little bit more about you. This has been phenomenal. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Mike. It was a pleasure.
To our audience, thank you so much for joining us in the Iteration Lab. If you enjoyed today's conversation, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, or share content so we can bring you more conversations just like this one. Until next time, keep moving the dial.